Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Yeakle. Welcome to this exciting Facebook Live with Brian Clark. Hi, Brian.
Hey, how are you, Katie?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to be talking to you about Substack. It is all the buzz in the office. We've been talking about it quite a bit. You and Rebecca kicked off the conversation on Friday with a great introduction. If anybody didn't see that, we'll put the link to it up in the chat so you can revisit that conversation. But now that we're 4 or 5 days into the conversation and there is such excitement, enthusiasm, readiness to get started with this training that you're offering, I thought this would be a good opportunity to really just focus in on maybe some questions that people have and talk a little bit more about the mechanics of what this training is going to be like and how it's different and kind of what's so special about it. But so anybody listening, if you have questions for Brian, please put them in the chat. We'll get to them, I promise. And I came up with a list of my own questions that I've heard from people and that have come in through the office and everything. So, maybe we'll have your question covered. But, the first thing that I think is so exciting to talk about is, why Substack and why now? And it just is like the universe is coming together. Like this is the time. But Brian, if you could just give us your take on that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, my first Substack publication was in 2023, and I really came into it very naive. I didn't really understand how things worked, of course, but I've been doing this type of stuff for 20 years. So, I was able to be successful and become a Substack bestseller. I didn't even know what that was when I started,
Right,
or how it worked, and all the mechanisms of it. But that's when I figured things out. And, as I was doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening here. And this is kind of amazing. And this is actually the solution to the problem that so many of us are having. I've been doing this a long time, building email newsletters since '98. And the environment was just tough,
right.
getting traffic, getting people to opt in, basically what you have to do to have a business. So I do this project over at Substack, and it becomes a great success, even though it was a temporary project. So I came away from that thinking, okay, I understand this now. I'm going to do this for real by making my newsletter further into a business. And that's exactly what happened in 2025. But I think what's happened in those 2 years is a lot of people similar to me are going, what's going on with Substack?
Something's happening here.
Everyone's building audiences over there. It's like the old days, right?
Right.
So you're starting to see some, more people move over, gain momentum. Even the people on Substack are kind of like, things are changing. You can feel it. For the most part, I think people who know better see this as a positive thing.
Yes.
More people who may not have even heard of Substack in the past are now part of Substack's audience, right? So this is the kind of thing that raises all ships across all sorts of niches and topics and what have you. So I see it as a positive thing. And I don't know necessarily. I mean, the more Substack mirrors what the broader internet used to look like, I don't really see that it can outgrow itself unless they have some sort of growing pains or what have you. But I think that would be a long way away in any event. I think what's important is get started and,
and be part of that rising tide that you're talking about. So in so many things as our career paths have met and followed a path, thank you for doing all this work beforehand so that we can just jump on based on what you've learned and have just, I mean,
Well, that was just me doing my thing, and then
I,
at the end of
I
the
know.
conversation, Rebecca and I were like, "Let's catch up. What are you up to?" And it was like an offhand comment. I'm like, "Man, I'm killing it on Substack," and she's like, "Let's
Oh,
talk
let's hear
about that."
that. Well,
Okay.
everybody that I've mentioned it to, and I've talked to like maybe let's say Wednesday already this week. I've talked to like 4 or 5 of our colleagues, in this world, and as soon as I mention it, they're like, "Oh, I'm there, but I only have 600 subscribers, and I'm not." I'm like, "Well, just wait." But I do have a couple stats that I just wanted to talk about because you're talking about momentum. And 335 million active subscriptions. Over 5 million of those are paid. This is on Substack. More than 50,000 writers already earning on Substack from their newsletters, with the top 10 making a combined $40 million a year. I mean, that's incredible. And I think there's a quote from you that there's no signs of the growth stopping. That the platform raised $100 million in funding recently, plus 1 million new paying subscribers joining in just the last few months. Now, I mean, that sounds like a lot. But why does that actually open it up for all of us?
Well, I think, Substack started in 2017, and it was a startup and kind of a different idea, compared to your typical social media platforms. I mean, there's a social media component to this, but it's all designed
For writers.
to drive, yeah, to build audiences for writers, and they're moving into video and audio. You can do anything you want on Substack, but it is
Right.
very much a writer's platform, long
Yeah.
form content, email subscriptions. And that's what I was telling Rebecca. It's like the ecosystem was created to train a certain type of behavior, and that behavior is exactly what we as
What we
marketers
do.
and business owners, yeah, what we do. And as long as you're providing the value that they're signing up for, it's a recipe for success. So it's just
And
understanding how this ecosystem can reward you if you make
and
the right
that's what
moves.
is so exciting, and that's what we'll be learning from you. But it is such a just a perfect sandbox for our folks, people that love to write, that understand persuasion, but don't necessarily want to make the investment, do the time, all the learning curve of having to build the list and everything that's always kind of been the struggle for folks who've wanted to start their own thing. Like, yeah, I have the ideas, I know what I want to write about, but like, how do I get people to actually read it? And so, how does Substack help with that?
Well, it's interesting because, go back 20 years before content marketing even had a name. I started Copy Blogger. I'm teaching this approach. And of course, building an audience is an investment. You're either going to spend time or money or both. It's
Right,
gotten to both, right? But back in those days, if you were a writer with the way blogging worked and linking to one another, and then the early social media, and then Google was wide open for search engine rankings, you could literally build traffic and an audience by doing what we do, which is write. The content itself was not only a persuasion vehicle, it's a traffic generator, it's a search engine, long-term SEO strategy. So you're just building this perpetual machine of traffic and audience, and it was great. But the main thing being, you are investing time, but if you're a writer, you're just
the,
doing what you do.
your
Now you have
practice.
to be strategic about it, but it's all words, right? That's
Right,
all you have to invest are words in various forms.
right,
So that's why a lot of the early, the OG bloggers that are on there, like me, we talk to each other. We're like, this feels very much like those days, because if you write the right thing, it actually works.
right.
And if you use this particular social media platform called Notes, that's part of Substack, it's all designed for people to subscribe to your email newsletter, as
Right.
opposed to Facebook doesn't want you to leave, right?
Right, right,
Instagram doesn't even let you put links, you know?
right, right.
So it's very, very different. It's perfectly suited, but you just have to kind of figure out, because there are different theories and different approaches. I'm saying, we don't want to talk, everyone's income is going to be what it is, but my goal is with this training is to make everyone a Substack bestseller, which
Yeah.
is where you get the social proof, you get the little check mark.
Yep.
The algorithm starts promoting you because you're making Substack money, right? So up to you how much that grows. But I'm going to share my entire strategy, which is a little bit different than some people on Substack have no strategy. That's why they're not doing well. And then there are other people who are doing things a little more by the book, maybe, which can work. But I'm going to give everyone the options. I'll say, here's one approach, here's another approach, here's my approach.
Okay.
I think
Everybody
my approach is the
let's do
best,
Brian's
but
approach. And I love that you have it as a personal challenge to get everybody one of those check marks. That's going to
the
make it
goal.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple other like technical questions. So people that don't have audiences, that's not what you have to worry about right now. What you have to worry about, and not even worry about, what you can embrace is that this is a platform to talk about something that you're passionate about, you're excited about, you want to share and connect with people on. And I'm pretty confident, but again, I just want to get your buy-in on this. For people that aren't tech savvy, it's pretty much plug and play, right? Or, it's pretty easy as far as that goes.
One thing about Substack is you can't do everything like with a website. You don't have a blank canvas where anything is possible. You have certain parameters, and I'm actually going to walk everyone through. Day one, we're going to set up our site. We're going to have a working site day one. We're going to talk about branding. We're going to talk about different concepts about how you present and position your publication, and then we'll just go through and I'll show you. Now, there actually have been some advanced layouts for the web layouts now, so it's getting a little more flexible. But the beauty of this is that you can't do every damn thing that you want.
Exactly.
So
And
you make some
else
choices, and no
Nope.
one can either, right? So you make some choices and you go with what you like best, and you go. And that's liberating. If you ever talk to, I've got so many designer friends who will tinker with their website for 6 weeks, and I'm like, just start.
Right. Yeah, no, that is, I know a few people like that. And it really, it's so self-inhibited. It slows down progress so much, and it's so unnecessarily so.
Right.
These aren't the things that really matter. The things that matter are, what you're talking about and how you're doing that. And now you are going to help people kind of focus in on topics, right? Like if somebody's coming to this and just like, I love the whole idea of it, but I don't really know what I should write about or what my Substack should be about. How are you going to help those people get past that hurdle?
Yeah, so one of the included bonuses is all about, how do you choose a topic, that's meaningful to you, number one, that makes money, that's conducive to a paid newsletter, because there are certain differences there. And so I put together this bonus, and it took me a little bit longer than I thought because I kept adding stuff to it. And we're actually going to release it first.
Yeah.
Like the week before, I guess there's a week in between.
Yeah, next week because of
the
holiday and everything.
Because I'm getting settling in Mexico, so I need that week for that. But so I've worked on something in advance for everyone to work on, and then once we get to day one, we'll I'll reiterate some of that stuff. But my hope is that you'll have a topic, or you'll have a much better idea by the time we get into session one, because that made sense to kind of have some upfront work.
Yeah, right.
When it comes for that thing, because you don't want to be sitting there not listening to me because you can't think of a topic, right?
Right.
So we're
Yep.
gonna start that first and have you prepared beforehand.
Excellent. And this is a 4-day training. We start on Monday. By Friday, you will be live and operational, and maybe even with a blue check, hopefully, or with a check mark. But it doesn't end there, and that's what is, which I love that you're doing this, and I think is so valuable, and people are really going to appreciate, is that you're going to have some check-ins over the next 90 days. And I love this. I saw that, day 1 to 30 is building your foundation. That's your first month of posts, getting your first 100 plus subscribers, optimizing your welcome sequence and growth systems. I mean, all critical. But once that's done, then the next month, the second 30 days, you're going to find your rhythm and scaling. You're going to be developing your content style, advanced note strategies, and some of the more strategic things that happen, and that will give you a solid foundation, give you legs, give you more opportunities. And then the last 30 days, which, you can't get better than this, is the monetizing and thriving. And that's when you get into, maybe paid tiers and some other opportunities. So I love the intensity of what we're going to be doing first, and then having the space and the time to refine, practice, get better, and grow with all these benchmarks along the way. So I think that's incredible combination of learning modalities.
Yeah, excuse me. So I've used the same methodology twice for getting started, setting everything up, but then posting your initial content. And when I started my last project in 2023, I didn't even have an audience. I had to build it from scratch. So you just have that freedom to put things out there and then start seeing subscribers show up and get your initial feedback and whatnot. But I have this strategy where I write these pieces very intentionally, and then they later become a lead magnet, or what I call a unity magnet, that we're going to pin prominently on our site as bait for subscribers. Yes. But more importantly, once they read it, they're like, oh yeah, this is the right place for me.
I'm in the right place.
This person understands me. We have a connection.
Yeah.
That's the goal. It's not just to get an email address, right? We want to do much better than that. So that's the first 30 days you're working through that process. Then the second month you may complete that, and then you shift to putting that into a bundle. That's a lead magnet. You're experimenting more with the note strategy to drive traffic to your newsletter. And guess what? A lot of your notes content will come from that initial content that you created, because that's, what I call it indoctrination, which sounds kind of rough, but it's like you're saying, this is how I see the world.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help you this way, right? And so you have notes content already built. AI is great for this. You can take your own long form content, tell AI, keep my voice, and divide this up into these 50, 60 character notes, right? And then I've got a whole bunch of notes templates of things that tend to do really well. But the interesting thing about notes is, and everyone's got to remember, you got to break that social media brain. Like if you get likes and shares, that's great. But the goal is subscribers.
Yeah.
Like I've posted notes that maybe had 10 likes, and people are like, well, that wasn't all that successful, but I got 120 email subscribers because of the way I wrote it. Right.
And that's what we're going to be learning from you. You're going to be showing us those subtleties, those strategies,
so you'll learn that all up front, but it'll be month 2 really where you start experimenting and getting more sophisticated.
Yeah, where
and then month 3 you may be in a position to turn on the paid subscriptions, right?
Right.
So it's designed to provide support for each stage because they are very distinct, but they're
Right.
all strategically, logically linked. They're just a progression.
Right. And I love it because you can't really mess up, right? If something doesn't click, well, you just move on to the next one. There's no like penalty box, or there's no
You have spent zero money. Spending some time to figure out something's not going to work is actually a blessing.
It's a lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, there are no failures.
Cross it off the
Only
list.
data, right?
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I figured out something here. But again, this is not a newbie thing. As I told Rebecca, I know people who they're like double bestsellers on Substack. They try a third newsletter, it didn't work out, so they just kill it and they do
Right.
another one. Right?
Exactly. Nobody's
it's okay. Don't worry about that. It's more important to start and try than it is to get everything perfect. For example, my wife is starting to work with me on Further, and I shared with her a go forward strategy document with some new language, different just an evolution of the core idea that we started with. Yeah, that's what you do. You tweak it over time. And she's like, this is getting even better. I'm like, right. But if I were worried about hitting this at the beginning, I would have never started, number one. And number two, I couldn't, because I learned this.
You didn't know. You didn't know what you didn't know.
The audience told me that this is the new.
It's such a two-way. It's such a two-way experience, which I love. So I do have a question about, what if somebody already has a Substack started, but they did it on their own, and maybe it's not what they want, or how will you be able to help them optimize what they've already done as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, there's all sorts of Substack gurus every time you have, blogging, podcasting, whatever. But, and some of these guys, they're not all guys. But, they've been doing this for like 6 months, and I don't think they have necessarily the depth of knowledge.
Right.
But because I check out their stuff, if they've got good ideas, I want to learn from anyone. So I've been paying attention to everything, and it's just very tactical. And I'm not even sure that there's a deep understanding of what's really going on under the hood at Substack, which is the part that fascinates me.
And that's what we benefit from, guys.
Yeah. So this is why I was able to succeed the first time without knowing anything. Because I've been doing it a long time, and you just do what you do. And if the platform is geared the way it is, then it helps you. And then I figured that out. But yeah, once I understood everything and moved further over and turned it into a business in 17 days, this has been a long time goal of mine. And Further would always get pushed to the side. I'd do some other project, and so this was my resolution for 2025, which is, it's going to happen. I'm going to do it on Substack. If for some reason it doesn't work, well.
And look where we are, June 25th, and like
exactly right.
It's working. What about people that might be concerned, thinking like, oh, now all the big influencers or household names are on Substack, and that's going to somehow diminish my opportunity? I mean, I think it's kind of the opposite, but I'd like to hear your view of that.
Yeah, there are some big names that have come on in the last 5 years or so, while I've been taking things a little easier since I sold the company, right?
Right.
So they have had great success, theoretically in the same space. But this is the thing. I've always looked for competition, because that means there's a huge audience pool to steal from. Right? Because if your positioning speaks better to the prospect than a general solopreneur newsletter, then those people will subscribe to both things. And then they'll decide, well, I think Brian's actually better suited for me, even though theoretically we're teaching the same concepts. It really comes down to, who do I connect with? Who understands my problem in a better way? And since my audience is people my age, Generation X, right? So that's an aspect that gives me an advantage over someone who's got a general newsletter. So I'm all for it.
Right. But and also what I was trying, I might not have even asked the question right, but what my thinking is like, if you hear like Katie Couric or, some of these like real, kind of celebrity type people, I just feel like it's more eyeballs getting to Substack, going to be looking around, and that ocean's going to get bigger of more potential readers for everybody.
Oh, I don't even worry about that, because
I think it's a good thing.
It is. You have the celebrity component, or the big journalists that are coming over.
They're bringing people with
they're
them.
bringing so many people in, and some of those people are candidates for your business.
Yeah.
It is not a zero-sum game just because they pay attention to Katie Couric. They can pay
Right.
attention to you too. In fact, they may connect with you more because you're more relatable than Katie Couric.
Right.
I mean, come on, let's face it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I think that the spotlight on Substack, the buzz, the excitement, I think those are all just positives for anybody that's getting started now. And I just love the whole image of, the boats rising as the whole thing rises.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Jess, I do. If you could put up the link, because we have a great letter about it that Rebecca wrote, that for anybody that hasn't seen it yet and that does want to just go into a few more details, that's fantastic. And I know. So, what are some of the ways that people can monetize what they're creating on Substack? Obviously there's the subscription model, but how does it work as far as if you have if you have something outside of your newsletter that you want to sell?
Right. So back in 2023, the terms and conditions of Substack prohibited things like affiliate marketing, or basically going around Substack's business model and not doing the subscription. And so I warned people about that, because there were some big names that actually got kicked off the platform for circumventing, Substack's paid option, and went to their own membership site. However, so when I move further over, I'm seeing all these people talking about, you don't have to turn on subscriptions. You can just sell your digital products, courses, your services, whatever you want. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like what I read 2 years ago. So I went and looked. They removed those restrictions. You can now do anything you want.
Huge. That's really big.
Yeah. So you can sell. I know we're promoting this as a clientless thing, but there are a lot of business models where you sell information, and then you get the expensive consulting gig on the back end, right? It's just that you have gotten a better client because you pre-educated them and you've bonded with them. So instead of it being like, are they going to accept my proposal? They're really begging to work with you at that point. Or you can still do freelance stuff. You can still do consulting. Put a simple call to action in your newsletter that says, you want to work with me one-on-one, go to this page, right? It doesn't stop you at all. I mean, I call this the business of expertise. It encompasses services. It encompasses coaching, courses, paid newsletter, membership sites, ebooks, regular books, right? It's anything where people are paying you to solve a problem, right? Because you understand the problem and you have a solution for it. So the thing is, though, there are people that advocate for just ignoring the subscription. I do not,
No.
because Substack treats you better when you're
Yeah.
making them money, and that you can work to your advantage. And that's the secret sauce that we're going to talk about. But we're also going to create courses and coaching and other products as the next level sale,
We
right?
get into the monetization part,
Yeah.
right?
Rebecca and I talked about, what does it cost to acquire a customer? Often you lose money. On
Right.
Substack, you have 98% margins acquiring because you're not spending money, right? So you're making money by acquiring a customer, and then you make more money when you sell them the next thing that they need to go to the next level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all part of the system.
It's just a beautiful thing. It's really great. And so if that seems overwhelming to you, don't worry. You don't have to do all that. But if you can see the potential that how this can, the circles can expand, the rings can expand, and how you can expand as you're ready, as it happens. This is just the perfect, again, sandbox to experiment with this and to try it out. So that's really what I think I'm most excited about. As far as just this, I just know how many of our members are just passionate about writing and want to share what they're passionate about. And I just feel like it gives you some structure. Yeah, it's self-created, but yeah, I'm going to publish every Friday, or I'm going to do this, and it makes it into a business for yourself. I like that aspect of it.
And there are some people on Substack that don't want to treat it as a business. They want to just write, and that's perfectly cool.
Yeah.
I mean, now the people that are joining this program, I believe, would like to make it into a business, and that's certainly how I'm approaching it. You just have to educate yourself, and you have to then, more importantly, take action, right? Because to me, it's just like a giant video game in there in Substack. Like, you try different notes. Like, I tried one yesterday that was a complete flop, and I'm like, well, I learned something there, didn't
Right.
I?
Yeah.
And then other times I'll put some
Interesting.
random thing out, and it
Right.
ends up doing really well and getting me 40 new subscribers, right? So that's the fun of it, but it's all your creativity and your writing. Like, notes are just little tiny, chunks of your wisdom,
Right.
or your larger point of view, your larger vision, that drives people back to the core content that gets people to sign up for your email newsletter. And then you just rinse, repeat, keep going, try new stuff, keep
Yeah.
doing the stuff that works, get rid of the stuff that doesn't, try new things. This is the most fun I've had in a long time.
I can see it. I really
Going
can
back
see it
to
on
the
your
early
face, Brian.
days.
I have to say, I can just
It's
feel it.
fun.
Yeah, it really does feel like a game, but in the best sense of it. And I just think the learning part of it is, you can't help but learn things, figure things out, and get better. You're just going to always be getting better. So
Yeah.
I love that. I just want to see if there were any other questions. Again, for people that are brand new, maybe haven't actually written anything yet, haven't been paid for the writing yet, what would you say to them?
Well, this is interesting because the way this is structured, it works if you're completely brand new, and it also works if you've already gotten started. I see some veterans here in the chat, like Steve, but there are aspects here that you're definitely going to learn something that you're going to go, oh, okay, that's cool. And even I think in the way to craft content in a time where more and more people are pushing a button and generating soulless AI content. There's nothing wrong with AI if you use it right as a co-pilot for
Right.
you, the writer, right? It can even help you, certainly with research. I can write things in your voice that you choose whether to use or not. But the perspective and the understanding of what keeps your prospect up at night is what's
Yeah.
gonna make you win,
Yeah.
right? So again, that initial bonus before we even start, if you're brand new, or even if you're not, take a look at this and see. Like I said,
It's going to spark something.
it's been 3 months and I'm tweaking Further's positioning just ever so slightly. It's not a monumental shift, it's an adjustment because I
Right.
learned new things from doing the job, right?
Right.
On the job training. That's what I call it.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So we do have some questions. Um, how long should writers expect it to take to go from launch to earning money? Is that within that 3-month period, or what would you say?
I think so. I'm trying to remember exactly. So with Further, I turned on paid very quickly because I knew I had a plan from way
Right.
back, right? I wasn't starting completely fresh. But the first time I had no audience, no content. I didn't even have demonstrated expertise. This was in the longevity economy. And after I came out of that Substack and had started giving talks on it, um, because of that Substack, and created courses and created products out of that, I am now a recognized expert in this field, right?
Yeah.
So if you're brand new, you have to understand that the way we market our expertise is by demonstrating it. And if you're only 1 week ahead of your audience, you're still ahead of them, right?
Yep.
And the very act of explaining things to people makes you an actual expert. It
Yep.
enhances existing expertise and it develops brand new expertise. So this is why I keep harping on the process. If you don't start, you can't do it.
You can, yeah.
And that's why
100%.
Rebecca convinced me to do this in 4 days instead of 4 weeks,
Right.
because that's how we normally do things, right? And she's like, let's just make it all happen week 1 and then go out 90
Right.
days, which is a reasonable time to start making money, right? To answer the question. I think, was that, yeah, that was
Yes.
it. So yeah, I think that's reasonable. Now, whether you become a bestseller in 90 days, the timeline is what the timeline is.
Yeah.
But once you follow the path, you'll at least see that if I keep doing this, I'm going to get there.
Right. Right. So, so someone is asking, how much of an international audience is there? Do you have any idea?
I don't have any numbers on that. There's an entire topical category for
Yeah,
international politics.
I bet it's a, a good sampling, and I think this is the kind of place where you can find your niche, you can find your audience, and you don't need, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, I refer to Substack as a microcosm of the broader internet. So
Yeah.
it looks like the internet, it's just not the whole thing, right?
Right.
So all sorts of people are drawn to this, but mainly people who like to read and who like to sign up for things by email, which again is exactly
That's our,
the people we're looking
and
for.
think
Yeah.
and be engaged. Those are those
Right.
are our people. Somebody is asking, like, how long do you try something before you maybe decide to move on?
6 months.
That's reasonable.
Like if you go 6 months and it's just not working out. So the person I was thinking of when I mentioned earlier that they did it for 6 months and then they just quit because it wasn't working. I mean, they have higher standards because they're already successful people. So if the project did not look like it was going to hit 6 figures at the end of year 1, then
that's very yeah.
they decided. Yeah, and I used to have the $10,000 a month rule, but this was back when we could do no wrong. We were really on a roll, right? We had the
Right.
audience, and year after year we would develop new things. But yeah, that was a rule of mine that if it didn't make $10,000 a month after some period of time, then it probably was going to get cut. Oddly enough, I never cut anything during all those years. So
That's
it
funny.
was a very good run. But for Substack, I don't have that hard and fast rule. But I think for me, it's similar to the other gentleman that I'm thinking of, which is after 6 months, if I'm on track to get around 100 grand for the year, then I feel good about it. And after 3 months, so far I'm on track.
You're on track.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I saw in the comments, I'm sorry, I'm going to be jumping back and forth here. On the, somebody's asking about publishing fiction. Is that make sense? Is there any way to apply this to publishing fiction on Substack?
So there is a category, a Substack category for fiction. There are a lot of people who write memoir also. And that's there's a valid community there and all that. I'd say it's probably harder to make a living, but if you're trying to get a book deal and you build an audience, that's how you get book deals these days. It's not, the book proposal. It's, oh, you have an audience, we want to offer you a book contract, right? So that's a different approach, but it is a valid way to do it.
And I wonder if there'd be opportunity to even, maybe get feedback on your writing or your ideas, or, see what resonates with people. I mean, that might be something that could help with fiction writers.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Here's a very basic question from Patty, but if anybody else is asking this, where do you publish your Substack so people can see it? But I'll let you answer that.
Okay, so when you publish a Substack, it's really a website that is published on Substack.com on a subdomain, which is like the word .substack.com, right? You can also use your own domain name. It's a one-time charge of $50. I chose to do that both times. I'm a big stickler for that. Those are my rules, to make sure that this is not a platform that's going to screw me over. Which is, can I use my own domain? Do I own my content? Can I take it with me? And with Substack, do I own my email list? And the answer to all three of those is yes. Or I wouldn't be there. You know me. I'm very strict.
Oh, yeah. No.
Building on someone else's land.
That's why I just want everyone to know, when we do something with Brian, it is vetted. It is tried and true. It is all the tires have been kicked. Everything has been put through his very high standards of, is this something he puts his time and money, puts his money where his mouth is, his effort, and he also extrapolates the lessons to help us learn it and do it quicker. So I just don't know that we say that enough, Brian. And I want you to know how much we appreciate that, because it's a really, really big deal.
Well, that's just my
well, that's Brian.
That's just me, but yeah, I spend a lot of time trying to poke holes in my ideas instead of trying to go, there's two ways to go about it, where you just like, oh, it's going to work, and you ignore warning signs. And then if you're like me, you're like, if you're like me, you're going, why isn't this going to work? Come on, let's figure it out. And then if I can't figure it out, then it's probably going to work, and I'm going to at least try. So I just see in one of the questions that someone asked, are there old people on Substack? Okay, older adults, let's be proper.
Exactly.
Well, Further is aimed at people 50 plus. There's a lot of people in that age range.
It's like asking, are there older people on Facebook or on the internet? I mean, we're everywhere.
Definitely there. There's a huge Gen X contingent on Substack, which also helped me decide to bring it over. But so my first project was called Longevity Games, and it's about the longevity economy, or 50 plus people. And I built the entire list there. So
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes. Yes. Nicole is asking, if you don't pay for your own domain when you sign up, can you go back later and do that? Or is it the original name forever?
You can always go back and do it.
Perfect. Boy, they are making this user friendly. They're making this very attractive to work with them. I really like that. So there's a couple things about topics, help you choosing a topic. Again, Brian has put together an amazing bonus. We've added it as a bonus, an amazing report, tutorial that you will, if you sign up, as soon as you sign up, you'll have it. I think we'll have it for you next week. You'll have next week to get through it so that by the time the first session starts on the 7th, I think it's the 7th.
I think that's right.
Yeah, July 7th. You'll have had time to go through it, think about it, and come with an idea picked out. So don't worry about that. We got you covered there. But we're not going to spend time on the first day going through that process. It will be, we want to kick off and get the momentum going. If you, for any reason, you still haven't landed on it, don't let that stop you. Still come. And I think as you hear what other people are doing, how Brian's approaching things, I think things will become crystallized. But I would definitely recommend going through that tutorial beforehand so that you have a framework that everyone else has. I think we may have gotten anything. Jess, if you can if there's anything that I'm missing here. Tina is asking, do they still say no affiliate links? I don't think that's the case, right? You can do affiliates.
No, they removed the entire provision where they had this list of things you weren't allowed to do. And it was pretty strict. And so even when I was coming back to it, I'm like, well, if I'm selling subscriptions and making them money, they're not going to care if I upsell from there. But then I went and looked and I realized, oh, I can do whatever I want. They changed the rules. So basically, Substack made a decision that said, the more people that get here doing what they want with the freedom to do that, ultimately, we believe that will make us a more sustainable business, right? But that's just good for us because
for us,
we only pay when we succeed selling subscriptions. I mean,
yeah. So
my further email list would cost $300 a month, I think, on a normal email provider. So
right, and just the flip side of that, not only they only make money when we're making money. So
right.
So again, it's in their best interest to have as many successful people as possible. And I think that that's clear in these policies and the way that they do help bring attention to sites that are building momentum. Here's a question. Bridget is asking, I have a buy me a coffee link on my about page, I guess on her own website. Is this okay? I have support subscriptions in Substack as well.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think you could use Patreon if you want and get donations. There's no restrictions anymore. Giselle asked, what makes Substack your choice over other platforms like Beehive or Buy Me a Coffee?
Oh, great question.
Well, Buy Me a Coffee isn't going to build you a business, okay? It can get you some coffee.
It's right there in the name.
I know it's a donation model, but I've always sold people things that will make their lives better, and for them to say the money I'm spending on this is tiny compared to the benefit I'm getting, and that means we both win doing it that way. Beehive, I actually was on Beehive. I moved from Beehive, and I did have some hope that their ad network, what they call Boost, it's basically other publishers placing advertisements and doing this. If you sign up for this one, sign up for these 3 2 kind of thing. Very much like Katie, you remember co-registration
Oh
in the
yeah.
old days? And it's just very susceptible to fraud. And I
Yeah.
found that it just didn't work. Just to clarify, I don't think Beehive, the company, is fraudulent. But when you introduce profit to people, you know, selling ads and doing, you know, all this kind of stuff, there, it, the fact that Beehive and Kit tout their anti-fraud prevention methods is a
They
red flag, right? They know
exactly
it's happening, right?
that
So
exactly.
they can
That's a
catch
really
a
good
lot
point.
of it maybe, but they're not going to catch it all. So Substack is just fundamentally a different model. They only get paid if you get paid. And with there's another thing. Substack does not own the customer relationship. You do. Substack just gets
That's
their
huge.
10%, right?
Huge. Yeah.
So if you sell books on Amazon, Amazon owns the customer relationship. You don't get their email address, you don't get their name. So let's add to this. We keep our content, we keep our email list, we keep our customers. You could, if you got upset with Substack and wanted to move to Beehive, you can do that because they offer paid subscription. So you just import it over
Right.
and you keep it because it's really tied to Stripe, the payment processor, and you own the relationship. Substack doesn't.
Yeah.
So, I
That's
mean, you really just can't poke holes in them as a platform. And I wanted to. At
right.
first, I thought there's no way I'm using this, but I got over myself and actually did my homework, and I was like, wow, this is actually way better than I thought it was.
It's funny as a business owner, just hearing you say all those are the things that are important that you might not realize as you're just starting out. But
Oh yeah,
ownership,
people have gotten
ownership of
burned
the relationship,
so
like
much.
this is good.
Facebook pages deleted. You know,
Right.
Tumblr
Yeah.
goes out of business. Medium changes their entire revenue model. Right? People are getting screwed left and right for decades now,
Yeah.
and that's why I was so strict about don't build on someone else's platform.
Right.
But I think Substack understands how people get burned, and they're like, okay, we're just going to eliminate all of that, and we're going to make money doing it.
Love
But
it.
only if you do.
Right. Yeah. No, that's perfect. I love this, Ernie. Way to go. In preparation, since I already have a clear idea of what I want to do, I created an account in Substack and created some graphics to use for my account. So Ernie is ready to hit the ground rolling. Um, let me see here. Oh, how does Substack drive more audience members to you? How does that actually work?
So think about social media and the algorithms. You can't escape hearing about how the algorithm serves Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, X, or you know, what have you. And what does that mean? It serves their business model, which is to keep people on the platform to see advertisements so they can make more money for the company. Substack's algorithm drives, promotes individual publishers when they show signs of doing well. So if you have a burst of email subscribers somehow, Substack notices and you start getting more email subscribers because they start placing you more prominently, showing you in different places, rising on list, you know, like they have in each category. I've been as high as number 3 in business. And when that happens, you know, that's the interesting thing. So I've designed my entire strategy to make those moments happen. When that happens, it's a rich get richer situation, right?
Right.
You did something good, you got some subscribers, or you got some paid, an increase in paid people, and then you get more
Right.
because Substack says, "Oh, this person is doing well. This person's making
People
this
like it. Yeah.
money." Yeah, and
That's
that there's no one else that does that, and
uh,
it makes so much sense. So.
um, okay. A couple logistics. Will the sessions be recorded? Yes, they will. So if you're not able to join us live, although the live is always so great because of the, you know, the back and forth, but they will be recorded. And you'll be able to go back to them. That's the other good thing. You know, if you can join us live, and then you can go back and review as you're moving through. How long will they be, Brian? Are we estimating like 90 minutes to 2 hours each session each day?
I think that's safe. You know, some may go.
It's going to depend on the questions.
I'd say 90 minutes, and plus, but what I said last time was we're gonna answer all the questions, and we're gonna do whatever it takes that the teaching requires. I'm not going to speed up and leave things out.
No,
because that is just,
that's not the way Brian does things.
No, and I have been accused of being long-winded, but I'm going to keep it tight because there's a lot to cover.
Yes. So, and I just want to reiterate this 3-day or this 3-month check-in. This is the only time this is being offered. Brian is being really gracious with his time, and again, he's so motivated for everyone's success. But this is a rare thing that we have the intensive training and then the check-ins afterwards. This is part of what makes this such a great opportunity at this time. Are you going to be incorporating homework due for each day to progress forward, or will people be doing it during the sessions, the actual work?
I would think you would actually do the work after.
Right after.
But yeah, when we used to do one a week, it depends on the program. There would be like homework that might take you a decent amount of time to do. Here, it's more by Friday, we're going to be set up and going.
Right.
So it's not necessarily like if you are tired one night and you don't do anything on your Substack, it's okay, because by the end of the week, you're going to be up and running. That's what matters. Then you've got
to be able to
realize that you're really doing 3 months worth of work with check-ins and accountability and questions that you can ask if you get stuck and all of that, right? So I really like this format. I mean, again, it's a little more intense than we usually do. But yeah, you don't lose momentum. You just get up and running, and you know what you have to do. And then the next 3 months is really just a process of staying on track, having accountability with your fellow students and me, because I will yell at you if you don't do it.
You don't want
Katie will yell at. I think Katie will yell at you.
I'll just look you in the. I'll just have you look me in the eye and give me a deadline, and I will follow up on you with you. That's kind of my.
We'll give you that disapproving look, and you don't.
Yes. And the check-ins will be on Zoom, I assume, but there'll be, an interactive type here. There'll be group setting with everybody, so you can hear other people's questions, and we'll just cover whatever needs to be covered. Oh, okay. I think we're going to have this be the last question. Thank you so much for your participation. I can feel the excitement. I love these questions. You're thinking about this. You're realizing how you're going to be able to maximize what you're going to be learning. But Danette is like, all right, let's go. Which would be better, to work on 3 newsletter ideas at once or hone in on one at the beginning?
One. Keep those other 2 in your back pocket. But
they'll be easier. They'll be easier once you get through the first one. But
that will stretch you a little too thin, and you really, to succeed at anything, not just a paid newsletter. You got to be all encompassing with it, right? It's got to kind of live in your head and just always be there, and that's, well, at least that's how it works for me.
Same here.
So, but I understand, Annette, because I've got ideas floating around in my head all the time. I mean, since I started doing Further, I came up with an entirely new idea, and I'm like, no, Brian, Don't do it.
But if you put it on a list and you know
Not
it's
right
there,
now.
it's not going anywhere. It'll be there when you're ready, when it's ready for you,
Later.
when everything lines up. Just like
Later.
this. This is the time to do this. We weren't ready for this a year ago. And a year from now, you know, we would be behind the eight ball. So that's why now is really, really a good time. Brian, thank you so much. Again, check out the letter from Rebecca to just hear more about it and get all the details. If you're in Infinity or COS, please go to your member page for your offer on this mentorship. This is first time we're doing it. This is a really unique experience to not only have this intensive training where you are going to have a newsletter published on StreamYard, you know, by the end of the week, which is mind-blowing and so exciting. But then you're also going to have the opportunity for check-ins that are strategically helping you to build on what we've started together. So I think this closes maybe tomorrow. It's not tomorrow, Friday. It's super popular. We've had such a huge response. It's going to be a great group. There's going to be so much great energy and so many good ideas. And then the training will start on Monday, July 7th. So I think that's everything. Jess, anything I forgot? Just send me a note. We're getting lots of thank yous. Well, thank you. And Brian, thank you so much. And good luck with this last leg of your move. I know you'll be all settled and raring to go.
Yep. Well, that's the plan. One way or another, I will be settled and raring to go.
Exactly. So, all right, everybody.
I'm really excited. There's so much enthusiasm.
We
we're going to have like a larger group than anyone was expecting, which is awesome because you learn from your fellow students as well. You support each other. It's awesome.
I have to tell you, Brian, we had a town hall. We do a town hall for our Circle of Success members. We did it on Friday. I mean, the first 15 minutes where everybody's sharing their latest success, which was amazing and so much fun. But then like the next 10, 15 minutes of this group conversation was just everybody talking about how excited they were about this and how they were already signed up and how they were already getting their ducks in a row and how, you know, they were thinking about all the other things. I honestly haven't seen a response like this in years and years and years. And I just think that this is such an easy, risk-free way to get started with something that can be so much bigger than anything you could ever do on your own.
And it actually works. I mean,
and it works.
You know, trying to get traffic from social media and Google these days is just so difficult. And then all of a sudden, Substack comes along and says, hey, you can do it here. You can succeed here. Yeah. So I guess that's part of the excitement. I'm excited about it, but it still cracks me up that this was an offhand comment on a call with Rebecca. So
good job, Rebecca.
This is the way the best things happen, you know.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't looking to teach a course on Substack. I was just saying, hey, Substack really works.
Yeah.
So but I'm glad this is good, and I think we're gonna have some successful people coming out of this.
I'm sure of it. So. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the 7th. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.